Have you ever heard of the Medical Insurance Bureau? Hey everybody, it's Shamika. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos. Also hit the notification bell so that you can be kept abreast of my most current content. I appreciate your support. So, if you guys have not been living under a rock, I'm sure you've probably heard about Sweetie Pies, the reality TV show, and one of the owners, Tim Norman, actually getting a life insurance policy on his nephew, and it was like a murder for hire plot. So this is not a gossip channel, or a celebrity gossip channel. We're here to talk about money and make money, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the Medical Insurance Bureau because I thought you should know if somebody has an insurance policy in your name. Okay, so first of all, I am going to put that link below so that you can go right to their website. First and foremost, I want you guys to request an order of your report. The Medical Insurance Bureau is a nonprofit organization whose sole job is to scrounge all into your business, into your personal history, and compile a report on you. And from this report, they develop confidential codes. Now, I have tried all day to look up those codes to be able to get a sample of one, but they are confidential. I cannot find them. So these are codes that only underwriters will be able to decipher because it tells all of your history. So let's go into it a little bit, all right? We got my notes here. So first of all, again, MIB is a nonprofit organization. I like to call them an investigative agency because they can tell if you have applied for life insurance within the last 7 years. That is big. And 7 years probably doesn't seem like a lot when you're just counting 1 through 7, but when you're talking 7 actual real years, some people forgot that they applied for life insurance in the past 7 years. Okay, so MIB operates much like a credit reporting agency. It is classified as a specialty reporting agency. To me, that's just a fancy term for a third-party consumer reporting agency. They, to me, are like the credit bureau because they do take in your credit into consideration. I am always talking about credit and pushing credit and great scores. And this is why, because it really does affect everything in your life. And a part of an underwriter being able to determine your premiums, I'm going to tell you what they take into consideration besides your credit report. And if you didn't know that, they do. But here goes what the Medical Insurance Bureau gives the underwriters about you. Okay, so they have confidential codes for any medical conditions you may have, any type of hazardous sports you may play. They pull your driving record. They look at your aviation activity to see if that is risky. They look at your criminal background. They also see if there's any drug use or past drug use in your medical records. They also use your family history. They use doctor's notes, your medical exams, and they also look to see if you are a sexual deviant. I can't make this up. This is actually coming from another website that actually talks about them. Of course, the Medical Insurance Bureau website is not going to tell you that, but these are all the things that they take into play and have confidential codes for so that underwriters can determine what your premium is going to be. So I will tell you, besides all the other things, if your credit score is good, if you are generally in good health, you don't smoke, you have a better chance of getting a lower premium than someone else. And it's really, really funny to me how your credit scores really do play into it. And let me just give you an example. An individual with a high credit score tends to be, based off of credit behavior, more responsible. A more responsible person that handles their credit effectively, pays their bills on time. This person also generally is also a person that takes care of their health. They're a person that's in pretty decent health. They don't do risky things like these things that I mentioned, flying, jumping out of airplanes, driving crazy in their car. They usually don't do that. So companies usually can tell if you're responsible based off of your credit score. If your credit score is high, it looks good, your credit behavior is good, they tend to think you, the individual, you live a responsible life too. An individual with a low credit score tends to be, and this is just what the analytics show, risky behavior. They smoke, probably use drugs, probably have some type of criminal background, and could possibly die within the next 10 to 20 years, which isn't that long in life insurance policy world. So these companies use the Medical Insurance Bureau to make sure that when they take on your application, they're looking for an unhealthy person. They're looking for someone that is easier to insure, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you won't get insured if your lifestyle is bad or if your credit is bad. It just means your premiums will be higher. But here are some other things you did not know about the Medical Insurance Bureau. They also look at your prescriptions. I mentioned that they look at your medical exam and your doctor's notes, but when you get a life insurance policy, what they don't tell you is, and this is and this is what the Medical Insurance Bureau does, they actually have a follow-up policy where after you're insured, they follow you for the next 2 years, and any type of treatment you get or anything changes in your lifestyle, they report this to the underwriter for the next 2 years, just so the underwriter can make sure that within those 2 years, if they need to make any adjustments to your premium, they will. This is all stuff that you don't know. It's probably in the very, very fine print, but this is what the Medical Insurance Bureau is for, okay? Now, the Medical Insurance Bureau is treated just like a credit bureau. That is why it can tell if you applied for life insurance within the last 7 years, okay? Because after the 7 years, you get a fresh start, just like you would with your regular credit reporting. You do have the protection of the Federal Trade Commission. If you were to order your medical report and you see that some information is wrong, you can dispute it, and when I say they, I mean the Medical Insurance Bureau, they have their normal 30 days to reply to you, just like a regular credit bureau. You do get to request a report one time a year, and I would tell you, you absolutely should, because you want to make sure your premiums are right, based off of the right information being reported, okay? You probably also look at your report and realize that, oh crap, you forgot that you went to the hospital that one time. So you might see some things that you don't remember. But how can you not be a victim like the victim in the Sweeties case, okay? In the Sweetie Pies case. Now, this individual, he had no idea to even check. But I want you guys, now that you know, and this type of thing, these type of attacks or murders, these plots, they do happen. So if you, and I'm not saying you're doing this because you want to check to see if someone's trying to kill you, but it is good to know if someone's actually trying to get a policy on you, because it will show up in your Medical Insurance Bureau report. So when you go to pull your report, you can see when someone's pulled a report in the last 7 years, whether that be you or somebody else. So at least if someone is trying to get a policy in your name, you will know it, because you'll see it and you won't remember that you actually went out and tried to get a policy. Now, can somebody get a policy in your name? Absolutely they can. You guys have heard of DocuSign. You can sign documents for someone else very, very easily. A lot of insurance agents don't even see you face to face. They talk to you on the phone. They ask you a couple identifying questions. And depending on the type of policy you get, you may or may not have to take a medical exam. Usually, when individuals get caught in some type of life insurance fraud or medical fraud, it's because the Medical Insurance Bureau caught it. Why? Because they have all of your information. They say on their website they don't store your information, and they probably don't. But it doesn't mean their computer doesn't, okay? So it's funny to me that they say they don't store your information, but then when you pull a report, they got a 75-page report that's in you, but they don't store it. Anyway, I say don't believe that. They have your information. Yeah, it may not be hard copy that they can just go and print out, but there is some type of file or record on you. And the only way you'll know that is by going to pull your report once every 12 months so that you can see what is going on. It's absolutely vital nowadays. It's absolutely vital to your pockets. And I want to move on to what insurable interest is. And one of the reasons I believe that Tim Norman was also caught, not only because of the information that he probably gave the insurance underwriter, the insurance agent was not correct. He wouldn't know, or you wouldn't know someone else's medical information unless you had their actual medical records. You don't know what a person filled out. You know, when you go to the doctor's office and you're filling out those forms in the beginning and what's your name and how you're feeling today and do you smoke and do you have a family history of things. All of those papers are all read, and they all are a part of your medical report with the Medical Insurance Bureau. So if Tim did not go with Andre to every appointment he had his whole life, or at least for the last 7 years, he would not know what he put down. So that's one reason I believe that the flag was drawn. Not just because somebody was sitting around doing an investigation. I believe it was unearthed because of the Medical Insurance Bureau realizing that the information did not match. Okay, that's one. All right. Number two, in order to take insurance out on someone, okay, yes, you do have to have their signature, but you should have some type of insurable interest. And what I mean by insurable interest means because that person is alive, that person in some way or some form adds to your life financially, okay? So if I'm married, I should have a life insurance policy on my husband because two people usually work, or he does his part around the house, or whatever it may be. It still affects me financially, whether he's adding to it by giving me money or whatever he's doing, okay? So I don't have to break that down, but there's some type of financial interest there. It's insurable, and you can place an insurance policy on him, okay? Here are some other things that you may or may not know that you could get life insurance for. If you're on a lease with someone, so this means an apartment, this means a car lease, if you're on a furniture lease, whatever type of lease, and that really does depend on the amount. You know, most of the time when you go into Babcock, you're not probably running up $40,000-$50,000 of furniture, but you could if it was a car. You could if it's a very expensive commercial rental or a residential rental. So if you're on a lease with someone, that is a reason enough to have insurable interest to get life insurance on that person. If you co-own something, so again, if you are co-owners with someone in a business, if you co-own a home, if you co-own a car, that is insurable interest. That's enough to get you a life insurance policy. If you have co-signed debts, that usually goes back to the other two, the lease and if you co-own things, but we had to put that separate. But if you have credit cards that are super, super high, you may have a super high limit because you added this person on when you guys both applied or whatever it may be. You can use that as a reason to have life insurance on someone because it's an insurable interest. Now, you would normally see that any of the personal finance gurus tell you you don't need to put life insurance on your children. And I get that because there's really no insurable interest on your children, but you should always have life insurance on your children if you can afford it, simply just because of the way society is today. Although way back when that wasn't even something we had to think about, but nowadays it is. And even if you get life insurance on your children just to cover funeral expenses, that is enough. You don't have to go out like Tim did and get a $450,000 policy for someone that doesn't even put money into his pocket. That was, I believe, probably the next biggest reason why the lid got blew off of his case, all right? If you're engaged or married, again, insurable interest, you want to get a life insurance policy. Parents, again, parents are just like kids. You don't necessarily have to get it, but you should get it at least for burial purposes. But if your parents, you lean on them financially, you know, you're in college and they're paying your tuition or your rent or whatever it may be that you may need them, and after they're gone, the money could possibly dry up. You want to get a life insurance policy on them, because you have insurable interest. Now, this is probably going to sound very crazy, but I am sure somebody's going to ask me about that. I would say, ladies or gentlemen, if you are a sugar baby, and I had to add that because with our society today, that is something that really exists. And if you don't know what a sugar baby is, that's someone who has a sugar daddy or a sugar mama. But if you are someone who has a sugar mama or sugar daddy, that's an insurable interest. You can get a life insurance policy on that individual. All you need to do is have their signature, okay? The whole reason for the Medical Insurance Bureau is because people were getting life insurance policies on individuals and they didn't know, and they died, and they got money, and the life insurance companies were not happy that they had to pay. So we all know that no company wants to pay, especially when you have insurance. You guys have auto insurance. You guys know what I'm talking about. So what you want to do is, you want to, before you go and get life insurance, you want to pull your medical insurance report, review it, make sure there are no mistakes, information on there is correct. Remember, they have 30 days to reply to you, so that's not really that long to take to get off some inaccurate information. Once you get that medical insurance report the way you want it to be, where it actually reflects what you believe to be true, then you go and call and you go and you shop around for rates for car insurance. You want to, for life insurance. You want to make sure that your credit is decent. But remember, it does play into your scores. That does play into your premiums. If you are an individual with a crazy driving past, you want to make sure that you have settled some of those past driving tickets or offenses that you may have, because those could be driving your premiums up as well. Things on your credit that are unpaid, collections and things like that, those things drive your premium as well, because they also show that you're not responsible, okay? And remember, these companies don't want to take on anybody that they consider to be a high risk. So you want to make sure that when you're shopping around for life insurance, that everything is at least under control, where you're at least comfortable with the information that's being reported on you, okay? Now, you can get approved again for insurance with a bad past. You can get approved for insurance with a good pass. The difference is how much do you want to pay for it, okay? And you also want to make sure that the amount of the insurance that you're getting is relative to what it is you're going to be missing. It looks funny if I get $1 million insurance policy on my mother and she's low income. Why? You don't need that. It's more than what you would need as far, and it's over insuring, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that they won't insure you for it, but I'm just letting you know, if I had to tie this to the Sweetie Pie's case, these would be some of the reasons why I believe he got caught. But at the same time, this was also a good time to put out information that you did not know. You didn't know about the Medical Insurance Bureau and how they make these determinations on you and the things that they say about you. And they tell all of your business, which we hate. We can't freeze it. You can't block it. It is out there. So know that it is out there, but at least monitor it to make sure the information that you have reported about you is correct. So you guys be safe. Check that link below. Click order yours today. Check it out, dispute immediately if something is wrong, and make sure you're paying for what you should be and not for anything else. All right, you guys take care. Thanks. Bye.